Welcome back,
Fun?
everybody. We are about to hop into our last adventure. You've thrown me off with the number one, Farku. So I almost said first adventure. It's the last adventure of the night. It's number 3. We're on time. Hell has frozen over. Let's meet our heroes. The adventure's called Head in the Clouds. Without further ado, you know them, you love them. We have Ideal, the sharp-tongued Lord of the Gilded Rose.
Hello there.
How are you today, Ideal?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Ideal, I've always been curious, but I've never asked, how did you receive your name? Was it one that, is it a name you were given or a name that you chose?
I believe it is a name that I was given, but...
Okay. Does it carry any particular significance to you, as it's a strong name with a lot of, like, weight behind it, this idea of Ideal? What does it mean to you?
I'm not sure. It's just my name.
Just
I
a
never really
name.
thought about it.
That's fair enough. I suppose I, Pete, don't think about what Pete means to me, although I've been told that it means like a rock, so maybe there's something there. Ideal, what else have you been up to lately?
Oh, just managing the Gilded Rose, you know.
Yeah, of course. Business as usual. Anything exciting happening, or are you just kind of carrying on well?
I'm carrying on well.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, Ideal. I look forward to seeing you once more in the fields of adventure. Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have, returning after a hiatus of sorts, we have the sword that cuts the heavens, the one true king, Fawkes 6. Fawkes, welcome back.
You must have been truly desperate to have come to me for help. Well, how long has it been? 10,000 years. Maybe it's been as long as for you, but it has been.
For you, it was 10,000 years.
Probably longer. You all know who I am. You all know what I can do. But most of my powers seem to have been sealed away. What is it that you will have me do today?
Today, we will need you to... it looks like the great big cloud itself has come down to Earth, and who better to fight a true god than the sword that cuts the heavens?
Oh, cool. You know, I've always been wondering, I have a question. So, we live in the lands of DnDTime, correct?
That is correct.
Right? Am I not wrong? Well, then what exactly does D&D mean? And why is it always time for D&D?
I don't think the two words have any real connection to each other. I think it's just like, it's just one thing, DnDTime. And that's just the full of the name of it. And I don't know, a lot of people, there's a lot of kind of like confusing origins about the name, the name of the world. Some people say it was passed down by an ancient wizard by the name of Gygax. Others say that it just means, the direct translation in a forgotten language was time to adventure. Regardless, there's definitely a lot of confusion about that. It's an interesting mystery.
Well,
Fawkes, the world needs you now. It's good to have you back with us. Next up, without further ado, we have the Judge Switch, known as Sylias Galanodel. Switch, how are you?
I'm eating.
What are you eating?
Samosa.
Samosa?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really good.
Fair enough. Switch, would you prefer to be called Your Honor? No one ever addresses you like as they kind of formally should, despite your title.
No, they don't. It's a nickname that Bartholomew gives to us, basically. But we pick it. But at the same time, he gives it to us.
Well, are you actually a judge, or are you just the judge? Have you ever been ordained?
Tale tells of judges who live in a very large city, much like Central City, who are judge, jury, and executioner, and basically they're like robot cops or something like that.
Yes, kind of
The lores get confused sometimes.
automaton constables. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Switch. Enjoy your dinner. You'll have to go out soon, so I suggest you eat quickly. But good to see you. Make sure you're taking good care of yourself, staying healthy, eating, getting rest. It's good, Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, we have Sword Coheir. Sword, how are you?
I'm doing swell.
What have you been up to lately? What have you been seeing in your travails around the land of DnDTime?
Well, bemoaningly, I decided to actually take a visit back home. Didn't go too well, of course, but
Of course, you're in many ways in exile from your home. You do have kind of need to hide from the law around there. Did you have any kind of scrapings with the authorities down near the Crimson Coast?
not this time. They do tend to stay away from the village, but still, it's close enough. You know, you do occasionally have the eyes.
Mm. Did you get a chance to see your brother?
Thankfully, no. Last thing I need is him to start another fight.
Yes, from what I understand, your brother can be a little bit of a troublemaker sometimes.
That is an understatement.
Um, perhaps someday we'll see him adventuring in the land of DnDTime. I'm sure someone like that would be a great asset in Bartholomew's employ. But I'm glad to hear you are doing well, and it seems the world needs you once more, Sword.
Well, I'm always ready.
Very good. So let us hop into tonight's adventure, which brings you to East Town. You walk now the East Town streets. Bartholomew had informed you that some of these citizens around the area, a region that's known for being particularly chaotic and wild, and here, rumors were saying that the Great Big Cloud itself, excuse me, has chosen to descend. And as you approach in the distance, you can see a very, very huge and dark thundercloud that stretches up high above the town, seems to be resting almost directly on top, almost like scraping the roofs of a lot of the buildings in this town. As you kind of are walking the streets now and gaining your bearings, you can see that East Town is laid out very chaotically. And for any of you who have been here before, the citizenry of it is very much the same. They move about. There's always, various kind of, magicians and wizards like practicing their alchemy and spells out in broad daylight. There's always people building and crafting strange things, music hanging in the air. But today, the streets are relatively bare. People seem to have kind of be hiding in their homes and staying away. And according to Bartholomew, the Great Big Cloud has been demanding ransom and basically tribute and worship from the people in this town. And well, they've hired someone to come to get to the bottom of it to scare this god away, or however one deals with an entire god. Most of the citizens aren't really aware, but in the city that's usually abuzz with noise and activity, all that you can hear is the soft chirping of birds. So
Okay.
you now walk the streets of Easttown. What would you like to do?
Hold on, let me get this straight. So, I overthrew a celestial prison, navigated my way back all the way to D&D. My castles and monsters have run amok in my absence. And you want me to go fight a planet? What? What is this great thing? It's been so long, I remember anything.
You're
Farker,
we
you
are.
act as if you've never killed a deity before.
I have many, but it's good to know more about what you're going to kill before.
Well, turns turns open a page on Switch's first book, The Lore of D&D.
Yes.
Great Big Cloud is a minor deity worshipped by. Starts listing off several adventurers who worship the Great Big Cloud.
Of course.
And it says here that the Great Big Cloud generally follows these principles. It starts listing off the principles of the
tenets of the Great Big Cloud.
Yeah. And generally, I don't think that the Great Big Cloud should be in East Town at all.
This is certainly true. And it's really cast a pall on what is a pretty lively place. Like I said, the streets are bare. It's also pretty dim light. As the cloud is hanging, as you're approaching now, it just seems like one very big cloud. The rest of the day is kind of bright, but underneath it, it's dusting very kind of lightly with mist. It's certainly not like a full rain, and it's kind of completely blotting out or not completely, but mostly blotting out the sun. As you're walking, and the cloud itself is just kind of scraping over the rooftops.
All right then, guys. How should we deal with this? Sunset guns, or maybe a bit more subtle approach?
Switch yells up to the cloud, "Go away, cloud!"
Yeah, go away!
There's a pause, and then kind of somewhere within the cloud, you hear a deep kind of voice just sort of boom, and it just calls out, "I shall not!"
Yes, you shall. Go away, cloud.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Could this be intimidation?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I rolled the 2.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just Yeah, well, we'll say you had advantage from the help action there, but
Sure.
it doesn't seem to be quite enough to get the cloud to move. The cloud just kind of stays stationary in the air. And as the cloud kind of bellows out, you can hear a voice kind of coming from a building not too far away. You hear just a voice kind of cry out, "Oh no, not again!" What do you all do?
Is there a building that looks like it goes almost directly up into
For basically every single rooftop here, the cloud is there's some buildings that it's a little hard to tell because you can't see them because it's like heavily obscured once they get into the cloud. But I mean, any building that's 2 stories, the second story is completely within it.
Okay. Would I be able to like know from my many visits to Central City, like generally a tall building?
Yeah. As you're looking around, you know that kind of closer to the center of town, there is the townhouse, which is where the mayor lives, and where they do a lot of their they plan a lot of events, and the government of Easttown sits, and it stretches up 4 stories. It's essentially this mishmash jumble of it. Basically looks like a bunch of houses that have been like stacked on top of each other.
I'll turn to the rest of the group and say, "Come on, we're going to the townhouse."
All right. As you begin kind of walking down the streets, that voice from before, you see it belongs to a few individuals. As you walk by, you see a house that is just blackened with ash, as you see what looks like a family just kind of standing in front of it, just kind of like crying a little bit. The house is relatively isolated. The houses around it are totally fine, but this house looks like it's been burnt completely to a crisp. You can see kind of a thin trail of black smoke leading up from it. Do you engage with these individuals, or do you guys just keep going straight for the townhouse? What do you all do?
I don't talk to people. That would be exposition.
Anyone else though?
Tell me what's going on.
All right. Yeah. So you go up to one of them and ask to tell you what's going on. They look at you. Looks like a husband, wife, and a boy and a girl child. They look to you. Our home was destroyed. The Great Big Cloud did it. he came down. He asked us for gifts. We gave him what we had, but it looks like he was dissatisfied. A great bolt of lightning came down from the sky, and our house was struck. It burned almost instantly. The father just kind of like shakes his head, and you can see like some kind of tears streaming down his eyes. The kids are just kind of clutching around their parents' legs, looking at you a little bit nervously.
Well, this isn't the great thing. No.
I concur. It seems like, from my understanding, the Great Big Cloud is considered a benevolent god, if I'm not mistaken.
And they kind of look at you, and they continue to say, "This one. Well, I think it was the voice of the cloud that did it."
I'm having a strange feeling of deja vu.
Where's the cloud currently, or the voice of the cloud?
The voice of the cloud. It is the mouth through which the cloud speaks. It descended to our home. Its great head appeared from before our door and spoke to us.
Okay, but where is it currently?
Reunited with its god, I presume.
Okay, and where is this? And then where's the cloud?
They just kind of look up. The cloud's above you.
This is going to be tricky. You know what?
Do you have any idea?
I do have one idea, but I don't know how well it will work. It could either end up very good or very bad.
They kind of look at you. I would recommend. We've already lost everything. I would recommend getting out of here. It's far too powerful.
Let's see how it deals with this then.
And
I'm going to summon a banishment elemental.
All right. You summon a banishment elemental, and you do that. As you go to, for starters, roll your first check to control it.
Yeah. All right.
That's a 14, DC 14, I believe. Oh, you just do it. So yeah, you have control over the banish elemental. What do you command? What is the banish elemental? What do you have it do?
I'm gonna go have it banish the great big cloud.
All right, you have it kind of fly up into the cloud, and it kind of passes through the fog up into it, and you see it kind of like spread out a little bit and try and like banish, but it just doesn't seem to grip anything. Like it just doesn't seem to have a target.
So
do you have like a sponge elemental or something?
I can only use the ring once per day.
Oh, that's fine. Well, we've already used the one used.
Well,
have I reached?
Yeah, as a lot. Well, if we can. Well.
Yep, you've reached the townhouse. It's a big, tall kind of collection of buildings that are, like I said, stacked on top of each other awkwardly. They're all different architectural styles.
Well, if it has nothing to grab onto, then that is not the Great Big Cloud.
You say that out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. Switch, meanwhile, a little bit farther up the road, not too far from where you guys are having this conversation, you hear the sound of wood splintering. Actually, go ahead and make me a strength check.
Athletics?
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
I'm like, all right, that must be Switch.
You hear the sound of wood splintering as a door is folded in. You kick kind of around the door handle, and it just collapses down the other side. You hear a voice immediately from the other side. "Oh, he must be back! Oh no, he wasn't satisfied with our offerings!"
Hey, you civilians, do you have any place safe that you know we could go?
They kind of, they're kind of like huddling in the corner. You see this individual has like a big kind of like purple top hat on, as presumably the mayor of East Town. He has a little bit of like a monocle and a lens and a purple coat. And there's a few other people that are kind of hiding in here. And as you kind of say that, he looks at you. Oh, you're not the cloud. You're not the cloud.
I walk up to the mayor, take his top hat, and then head toward the stairs.
Go ahead and make a contested athletics check.
Sure. Oh no.
You still get it. You go to like pull the hat off of his head, and he, with all of his might, goes to kind of hold it down and force it onto his head, but you pull it, and he goes, "The cloud wants even that. Are you working for the cloud?"
Shut up! I'm sending the cloud away.
But my hat.
It's mine now.
We're gonna use it as bait.
As you say that, Fawkes, you realize decidedly he does not. He had like really long hair that was pouring out of it, but as you pull the hat off, you realize he has a weirdly long hair on the sides and is just perfectly bald on top. And he does look very odd without the hat.
Have this. I pull out the Fly Lord and I put it on his head.
I don't want that rotting pig's head. What are you doing?
I force it on. I just don't want to look at your bald spot anymore.
And you prefer to instead look at the rotting carcass of a pig's head, which is a rough statement about someone's appearance. And this guy is now noticeably dejected and scared, and he also like runs up further into the building, away from you guys who are just kind of bullying him. The other kind of citizens like kind of
be nice.
The other kind of citizens follow, and you just hear someone call out, "Mayor! Mr. Mayor, please!" And they run after him. And then you hear him call out as he's running away. It must be all those lizard folks' fault. They're always complaining about the cloud. I'm sorry, not complaining, but worshipping about the cloud.
Tell me where the voice of the cloud is.
You haven't seen any yet.
I climb up the stairs up to the top floor.
You hear the mayor call out, "Oh no, they're chasing me!" And he kind of ducks into a side door and hides, which you don't care about because you worked. And you make it up to the top. The windows are closed, and it's just thick, dense cloud outside of them. The banishment elemental continues to rage. Roll me another check to try and control it.
Okay, so it's currently looking for the cloud.
All right. The banishment elemental kind of flies over. I'd like you to make me a charisma saving throw. Actually, you're with sword as well, so we're gonna roll a d2. Actually, sword, I would like you to make me a charisma saving throw.
I'm sorry.
Sword, you disappear and are pulled temporarily from this plane of existence.
You're now in a harmless demi-plane.
Well, I suppose the saving grace is I won't be killed by some mega attack from
Fair enough. All right.
You're basically there until the banishment elemental banishes something else.
Yep. In that case, really, it's going to be a lot more like a blink elemental in terms of practice.
Well, except it's sending other things away instead of disappearing itself.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with the banish elemental. All right. What were you switching, Farker? You guys were doing something else, or switch? You're at the top floor.
I wanted to.
I just opened the window.
All right, you open the window. Kind of some of the cloud and fog just kind of rolls in lightly.
Yeah, then I'll climb up onto the roof.
All right, you do so.
Me?
Farku?
Switches on the roof. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stand up and get in front of like old people and like start giving a speech. All right, everybody. There's no need to worry. I'm here. I'm Fawkes. It's nice to meet you. Come to save you.
They kind of look at you, and now with a dawning recognition, the mayor kind of looks at you. And through his rotting pig head's mask, he goes, "Wait! Fawkes sakes! The one true king, the sword that cuts the heavens, is returned?"
I am the sword that cuts the heavens. I've split the heavens, and I've cut down gods before. You have no need to...
Well, the heavens are here! Cut them!
Whether or not this be the true great big cloud, I can guarantee your safety. Just stay here while we handle this, alright?
They kind of all kind of like nod at you now, a bit deferentially, now understanding who you are, and kind of, you know, just stay kind of curled in the corner.
Everybody calm down. We've come to deal with this. I'll see you later.
They all nod solemnly and leave you to your work.
I'll join Switch upstairs.
Alright, you gonna hop up on the roof and Switch?
Might as well fly up there.
Yep. Are you gonna take your wings out?
No. I have a vaulting pole now.
Oh, yes.
This vault! This vault!
Oh, nice.
I just go through the roof.
You just like, crack the quarter snap. The wood of the higher up buildings is very like shabby, and you can tell the craftsmanship on the house decreases very quickly through floors, and you just crash up onto the roof next to Switch, flying through it. The two of you are on the roof.
Hey, I got this new item from the market. I might as well use it.
I look at Farku and I say, "I'm going to sense if there is divine."
Me too.
Both of you sense channel divinity. Do both of you want to? Both of you are doing it at the same time? Yes. You're sensing the divine, and there is no deity here. There's no powerful good, no terrible evil, no undead, no celestials, no fiends. Nothing of the sort.
Not even Switch or me?
I mean, you guys, of course, are picking up each other's vibes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really feeling your vibe, Switch.
Ninja, can you go ahead and roll me another spellcasting check?
Sure.
You have control over the elemental. What do you have it do?
Spit that out.
Spit it out.
Yeah.
Spit it out.
I don't know if I can spit things out, but...
It can drop concentration, I think, right?
Do you want to tell it to?
Yeah, I'll tell it to drop concentration and...
No, banish itself, and then it will be next to you, and then it can banish you again.
Some kind of odd banish loop. Alright, yeah, so you you kind of tell him to spit it out, and Sword, you all of a sudden, you hear what just sounds like... and then all of a sudden Sword just kind of is reconjured, just from like a space maybe five or so feet away, a little bit higher up in the air. Sword, you land agilely on your feet and look around, a little bit dazed from the experience.
That was interesting.
Oh, neat. Are you done playing?
I'm not even sure where I was.
Yeah, you were just kind of floating in void for a while there, but you're back now, so everything seems to be okay. Yeah, what do you guys do?
Well, looks like we're dealing with an imposter here, definitely.
I turn to Farku and gently place the purple top hat on his head and say, "Come down here right now, imposter."
Go ahead and make me another intimidation check.
I'll help.
Yeah, help. 25.
Intimidatingly with my top hat.
You hear the voice. This time it seems closer to you, perhaps just because you're higher up. But the voice kind of booms out once more. "Who are you to give commands to a god? You should be paying tribute."
Okay.
How can we pay tribute if we can't see it?
I put on my cloak of reverse invisibility and my and like
wait,
see if he recognizes me.
It makes everything that he's wearing invisible.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure. There's also
except for the towel I put on.
Yeah. There's also the cloak of. There's another cloak of invisibility, cloak of almost invisibility, which makes I think everything but the cloak invisible. So I wasn't sure which one it was. All right, so you put on the cloak of reverse invisibility, and
the towel.
And of course the towel, and the voice kind of calls down, "Why are you wearing only a towel? It is preposterous." And there doesn't seem to be any recognition in the voice. This is definitely not a god. They know you.
Yeah, of course. I tip my top hat. Alright, switch.
This is the true king, Farku. The sword that cuts the heaven. I am Switch, the judge, Galanodel. And then I don't actually remember who those two are down there. They're the other people who were sent.
And now
ideal.
And now you hear below you. The voice comes now closer to you, Ideal and Sword, and Ideal, as you kind of, because you had called out before, if we can't see you, right? What was the exact phrasing?
How can we give you tribute if we can't see you?
The great kind of cloud goes, "You will leave it," and the voice is very close to you. "You will leave it upon the ground. It is commanded." And out of the cloud line above you, only Sword and Ideal can see this because you're on the ground. And guys are just in dense cloud up where you guys are on top of the roof. But Sword and Ideal, you see just kind of descending from the cloud above you, what looks like the top of somebody's head, and it kind of comes down and out head first, and they're wearing a mask of some kind that has a smiling face on one side and a frowning one on the other, but the mask is placed on like upside down, it looks like, so that the smile and frown look like they're right side up, even though the body is kind of facing down, the head and neck that descends. It's a very big head that pops out before you. The head itself is like 5 feet in the head itself is like 5 feet in diameter, and the head pops out as they say that line about leaving it on the ground.
I command my elemental to banish the head.
All right, go ahead and make a spellcasting ability check.
I fail.
The elemental is going to vanish. I need you to make me a charisma saving throw.
All right. I'm glad that.
Oh, that's a good save, because then the elemental would just be out of control. All right, yeah. The elemental kind of, you point at the head, and the elemental just kind of flies over to you, and the head kind of looks around, just kind of like confused about what you were trying to do, but it then just kind of like drifts back upwards into the cloud. Yep. What are the rest of you guys doing?
I swear, every time someone the one freaking. Okay. Judge. Why not? I'll pull out a golden dwarf phalli.
But of course.
On the ground in front of me. And stand back up with my hands on my hip. Well.
All right. Yeah.
I'm going to hold the spell.
All right. You get ready to hold a spell, and the voice kind of calls out from within the. Actually, no. There's nothing. Nothing happens. You just put the golden dwarf phalli on the ground, and the cloud doesn't react to it.
All right. Well, there's your offering, fuckface.
You say that, and he goes, "Oh, you have made your tribute!" And you hear the voice kind of like moving within the cloud as it's moving towards you. The sound of it just by your passive perceptions, you're able to tell that it's getting closer as you say that. What have you provided for tribute?
What? Yeah, you can't see?
Of
What
course,
kind of god are you?
I see all. I wish for you to speak it, so you know that you have been. That you have been. That was what I intended to say.
Switch over and switch.
As soon as this dude pops out,
you can't see anything. I have said it a couple times now, but you guys are just in dense fog. There's no vision.
That's why I haven't cast a spell yet, because I can't see a target.
Yeah, you guys are in what appears to be a fairly rough spot.
I'll rub my eye and be like, can my demonic devil eyes see anything, or is it just because?
What do the devil eyes do?
I think it can see through magical stuff.
Can it see through? It sees through magical darkness, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. This isn't magical dark. This is like a different effect. It's like the heavily. It's like a fog cloud almost. Very big one. And as you kind of like, as you kind of like rub your eyes. What are your passive perceptions?
15.
Wow.
Those of you that are on the roof, specifically.
11.
It should be. I forget. So.
Just 10 plus perception.
15 or 14.
15. All right. Yeah. As you're just kind of like rubbing your eye for a second, you see that the golden dwarf ally has vanished into the cloud.
What a dick.
Literally.
And he goes, "Your tribute has been accepted, but you must offer more. I am not yet satisfied. I shall smite you as I smite that poor family you saw before."
I look at him just plainly and like grab my backpack, sort of just spill gold onto the floor.
All right.
Me and Farku are standing next to each other, correct?
Yep, you guys are standing next to each other on the roof. What are you guys doing while this is happening on the ground level? Because you guys are actually pretty far apart right now. There's the roof crew, who's like 50 feet up on top of this like stack of buildings, and then there's the ground crew, who's just on the ground. And you can hear both conversations because this dude talks incredibly loud.
I've got an idea.
Oh, I'm going to point in the direction of where the voice was coming from and tell the elemental to try and banish the head. Or the source of the voice, rather.
Banish the source of the voice. All right, go ahead and make another check. Oh!
It's even worse.
Sword, I need you to make a charisma save.
Damn it.
I'm sorry.
Sword, you're fine. You're fine. The elementals just really having a lot of fun hanging out with you guys down here on the ground. And Farku, you kind of pull out. You go and just like dump a huge pile of coins on the ground.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the coins.
And
hey, before
right.
you do that, though, I've got
Sword.
an idea. I've got this gargoyle's pendant here that'll turn me into a gargoyle statue. It could get me on the board, or wherever they're taking this stuff, and maybe I can, I don't know, sabotage the thing or something.
Yeah, you're gonna turn into a gargoyle statue?
That sounds like a plan.
Absolutely. You put your pendant on over your neck, and you see Dendari is to your left. Sword just becomes tribute. Just transforms magically into tribute. It's indiscernible from just a big stone statue, but that has a necklace on, which is weird. Yeah, you dump a bunch of stuff out on the ground, and with your, I assume you're actively perceiving. Very good, with a critical success.
Yeah.
You hear, as you dump the coins onto the ground, there's a moment's pause, and then you just hear some of the sounds of like some of the coins kind of like clinking together, as it's definitely harder to like grab a bunch of things than one thing, especially when they make a lot of noise, like coins jingle. And you can't see him, like I said, because of the fog, but you can hear that he's like right in front of you right now.
Could I?
He's right in front of me.
Yep.
My passive perception.
No. But with Farku's you can be actively trying to perceive if you want to make a perception check, because you guys are like, you know.
No, I'm still holding my spell.
Okay. Yeah, your passive perception won't get you there then. It's subtle, but Farku with the crit definitely picks up on it. What do you do, Fawkes?
Oh, I'm wondering what kind of spells I could use.
You could use.
Take some more. Jingle, jingle. Scrape, scrape. Look, by the sounds of it, he's going to be done pretty soon.
I could just grab him. Can I just grab him? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can just grab onto whatever it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make an athletics check. And because you know where it is, like the fog is not even going to impose disadvantage. All right, well that's going to be. Oh no, I accidentally backed out of roll 20. Give me just one moment.
Oh. That was real bad.
All right, you reach down and go to grab onto it, and it's definitely very big. You're grabbing onto what feels like it feels like flesh, like solid flesh, but like the width of it, you're not sure if it's the creature's waist or whatever, but you can't like fully kind of like get your arms around it, and they are going to make a contested athletics check.
Start like molesting it or something.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and make a nature check. Oh, make it public. Go ahead and make a nature check.
Nature check.
But this time it definitely kind of breaks out. As you're kind of holding on to it, the way it moves and the way it and the way it kind of like wriggles from your grasp as you go to move onto it, it feels like a hand, which means if that's a hand, then this thing must be some kind of giant. And as they kind of pull their arm backward in a way, as you go to grab onto them, the voice of the cloud, "You're angering the cloud! Do not attempt to touch the cloud's voice. For that will anger the great big cloud even further, and he shall smite you as he smote that poor family." And
sir, what?
And the voice kind of drifts downwards, back down in the direction of the ground crew.
I'm gonna whisper, like lean over to Switch's ear and be like, "Okay, we're dealing with a cloud giant here. It's fucking."
And ground crew, I need you guys to make me, for starters, Dendera, I need you to make me the traditional check that you do make all the time. You're having bad luck on these tonight. You actually have it's like hard for you to fail that. All right, yeah, you absolutely succeed. And you kind of hear the voice. The head begins kind of like moving down again, and you see it go for a very beautiful statue that it has there.
Can I use this critical success?
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm going to command my elemental to banish the cloud.
All right. Oh man, that's actually doesn't even have that big of a bonus to that. Just rolled an 18. You go and kind of command it, and this time like the elemental feels like it has something to focus onto as it falls away, and the head kind of reaches down, and then you see two big hands reach down and grab onto the gargoyle statue, and the head kind of looks over at you. "Do not cast spells at me!"
I didn't cast any spells. That's an elemental attempting to banish you.
"The cloud is not a fool!" But it grabs the gargoyle, which you are, sword, and carries it upwards back into the upwards into the cloud. "But the cloud is pleased with this tribute," and takes the big statue, and you're just being carried. Don't you have blind sight while you're in that statue?
Yes, you do. I can see everything that's going on.
You can completely see the creature before you right now. And while not maybe making out the color, yeah, it is exactly that. It is a great big giant kind of wearing an upside down mask, who's just like flying around in this fog by magic of some sort. and they kind of just fly over on top of a nearby roof where they have just a huge pile of like various tribute that looks like they've already collected from some of the houses here. You see there are clocks, like a big old pile of like gold and money. You see there are you see there are a couple of other like sculptures and paintings and stuff that are down there in the space, and the giant kind of like just drops your statue kind of down in the space and just kind of speaks. It just kind of speaks to himself while he's kind of arranging his collection, and you hear him kind of mumbling to himself. Yeah, these guys seem like trouble. Definitely not the regular town, so it might be time to cut my losses and run. And he's just kind of like emerging around, and then you hear his voice kind of boom out from that spot, and all of you hear this. And when you're so close to it, it kind of like hurts your ears almost, even in the gargoyle form sword. The cloud is pleased with your tribute. You may leave our town in peace.
Okay, Switch. I got a tracker on him.
I think you know what I'm gonna do.
You have a tracker? May I see?
What are you doing, Ideal?
I'm gonna attempt to get the banishment elemental to banish the voice.
All right, yeah. The voice has like moved a little bit further away, so it's a little harder to track. But go ahead and make me a spellcasting check. All right, yeah, you absolutely are in control. And then go ahead and make me a perception check, because this is going to be like how well you're able to guide it to the voice based on just hearing. And this is going to be at disadvantage because you're just trying to like precisely pinpoint something by sound, which is hard. So go ahead and make me a perception check with disadvantage.
All right.
DC 13 for this. Oh, so close.
Oh, wait. Hold on, let me see if I have anything. No, I don't have any.
And the elemental, you know that you were right in the right area, but you couldn't quite guide it to the point. And the big kind of giant kind of reaches down, just kind of like goes and like reaches down near you, sword, and kind of like wraps his arms around against you. And as he sees like the elemental presumably next to him in this this fog or this cloud, kind of calls out, "Oh no, they've found me." And he begins kind of like just shuffling. He lays something on the ground and then just begins kind of like shuffling things into it. Some kind of like extra dimensional space. It looks like he's putting things in. And you look like you're very close to being just thrown into whatever this extra dimensional space is. But right now he's really hurrying to just like get out of here.
All right. In that case, while he's distracted, I'm going to, I guess the best thing to do would be throw off my necklace and, if I casted a big flame or something, would that be enough to cut through the...
You don't know.
Dispel magic, maybe? Gust of wind? Anything that blows... Control weather.
Oh, I've got an idea. It's been a while since I've used this, but command... And I will command the giant to fall to the ground.
Okay. So the command spell, they're going to make what kind of a wisdom saving throw?
Yes.
All right, the wisdom save they're pretty good at, but is that good enough?
No.
All right, yeah. So you command the cloud giant to fall, and they're currently just kind of flying. So as you kind of say, you just take the necklace off, and they're definitely surprised. And you tell them to fall. They just crash down to like the ground below. And Dandara, you now see them very clearly as they plummet out of the fog and onto just one of the streets, because they're kind of just like in a little bit of a tricky spot, like in between. And yeah, they fall down to the ground. I assume this is like the grovel one where they spend their next turn groveling.
I
Or is this? Yeah,
I think it's just a regular command spell.
Okay, yeah, well, this will say it's functionally the same as Grovel, where he has to spend his next turn groveling. And I'd like you to roll for initiative, because now this guy's out in the open.
I'm like, oh, there it is.
Well, you guys can't technically see still, because you're just in fog. But I assume, Sword, do you, like, call out something?
Yeah, but we hear the massive thud.
Well, you hear the big Sword, and Sword, do you, like, yell something out as you, like, finally catch this guy?
This way, crew.
Fair enough.
Oh my god.
So there's the tracker.
All right. In that case, the first to act in this instance is you, Ideal. What do you want to do? Actually, wait. We're missing one. Fawkes, you haven't rolled yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 8.
Wait, what?
I have the cowboy suit on, so I have advantage.
It's like you broke the internet.
That is
Yeah, that was confusing for a second.
Yeah, I have a plus 12 to initiative.
I was just like, Fawkes, now. The giant crashes down to the ground, and Ideal, you are in the fray. Your elemental has maybe 1 or 2 turns left in it. We'll say 2.
All right. I'm gonna command it to banish.
All right, get a bonus action. You can still banish.
All right. But yeah, I'm still gonna use that to
Yep. So go ahead and make the spellcasting ability first.
All right.
And see what it does. All right, you control it, and you're going to command it to banish him, and then you're in plain sight, so you can tell it right where to go. Oh, man, but it's crushing these charisma saves as it succeeds on the charisma save against banish.
All right, and as a bonus action, I'm going to place a curse on it. Fixed Blade's curse.
You already used your bonus action, I think, to command the...
So
you still have, like, a full action you can do. But I think you can't, like, interchange the bonus action and action.
Alright, I'm going to attack with my packed weapon.
Alright, go ahead and swing away. Alright, you run up and go to strike down on the cloud. You have advantage because they're prone.
Alright, so...
it would be the 13 and the 12, which unfortunately the 13 doesn't miss. But you can attack twice, right?
Yeah.
So again, the 18 absolutely does hit. Roll damage on that.
Alright.
11 points of slashing damage. Alright, you cut into the cloud creature, who kind of calls out, I am the cloud! I will... Oh, no! Oh! It does not seem to enjoy it. Anything else on your turn?
None.
On the turn passes to Sword. He falls down into the street below you. It's maybe like a 20-foot little hop down to the street level from where you are on, like, the rooftop he dropped you. Oh, and he's gonna make a concentration check, which he succeeds.
Was that for the fog or
for something, you don't know. What do you do?
You know what? I'm going to summon my wings, and I think do I use my bonus action for spirit weapon?
Yes, you do. So you're gonna stretch your wings out and then conjure a spiritual weapon?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and make an attack roll with your spiritual weapon with advantage. 23. I would have hit anyway. Go ahead and roll damage on that. Seven points of force damage as the spiritual weapon, a great spiritual sword, crashes into the down form of this giant. Make sure I'm writing all this down. There's a lot of health. Anything else on your turn?
That's about all I can do.
All right, and now that you're flying in the air, are you like moving, or are you just gonna stay on the rooftop, kind of looking down?
I'm gonna keep my distance a little bit.
Very well. In that case, that's gonna bring us next in the initiative to. It would be the Voice of the Cloud's turn, and they spend their turn groveling on the ground because of the command. And so they're just still kind of chilling there. Switch. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Fawkes next. Fawkes, what do you want to do?
That's me. Switch. You want to get there? Over there?
Give you the thumbs up.
Alright. Can I just pick up Switch, or do I have to use an action?
You can just pick them up, but you're at half movement because you're like carrying someone.
Okay, then I will. What if I'm flying?
If you're what? I would probably say yes. Yeah.
Okay. Then
But he's actually pretty close. I mean, you can just kind of like, fall because he's on the street like very near you. So if you just want to like fall and then try and like catch yourself with flying, I would let you like try and make a check for it to get down quicker.
No, do I need to?
Or you can. I mean, you can just get.
All right. How can I just?
50 feet away. Like, it's 50 feet away. At half
it's 50 feet.
Yeah, because you're on top of the roof.
Does that count? You know what? I will pick up Switch.
All right.
Take the dash action, and then Greaves of War to double that. So I'm at 60 feet, and then I will just fall off the building.
All right. So yeah, you're gonna dash action, double dash, and then just kind of fall down with your Orin plate. So since you used your action and bonus action, yeah, so you're good. You crash down onto the street. The stone kind of crumbles a bit underneath your feet as you and Switch land before this kind of downed cloud giant, which you now see is, like I said, wearing this kind of like upside down smile mask. But as you kind of had figured out before, it was definitely a giant. And they are standing just kind of like groveling on the ground from Sword's magic before you. And I think that's all you have in your economy, which means Switch, you are already.
I have 10 feet, so I'll move back 5 feet and then move back forward 5 feet to provoke an attack of opportunity.
I don't think it can because it's used all of its economy. I don't think it can provoke an opportunity attack because it's still groveling. But if you could, you do provoke him for sure. And Switch, you're now on ground level with this thing, and Fawkes has delivered you to it, so to speak.
I'll stop. Oh yeah, that triggers my held spell, right?
Oh, finally! Nice!
Yeah, it triggers my held spell. Speaking of command, the spell that I was
It's gonna make a Wisdom saving throw.
Yeah.
Which, oh no, it fails another Wisdom saving throw against command!
It's gonna stay groveling.
Alright, you continue to command it to grovel. Yep, alright, what do you do?
I'm going to item interaction, draw my lance with 2 hands.
Okay.
And we're gonna be the
Go ahead and
distance away.
Yeah, just get yourself nice and lined up.
We're going to bonus action, cast another and then we're gonna attack with advantage because he's prone, correct?
Yep. You hit. Hey, Switch, you hit him with your attack. Weird.
Oh, smite
okay. Well, I'm going to add a 2nd level smite on top of the blind smite that I cast as a bonus action on top of this damage.
Okay. And, for future reference, give me those blind smites before your crits.
I said it was a bonus action. Anyways, how much is this?
But this one's all good. 3rd level smite would be 4d8.
Okay.
So 8d8.
Okay. 8d8 less than 68. Got it. So that is 25 plus 25 is 50 plus 31 is 81.
81.
And and then it can make me a Constitution saving throw to avoid being blinded, and then a Constitution saving throw for concentration.
This is correct. So Constitution save to see what's blinded. What's the total damage there?
81.
Okay. And it fails its concentration. It can't succeed.
It can't pass a DC 40 or DC
no,
20?
it unfortunately. Wait, a DC 20?
No,
I thought you did.
DC 40, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, unfortunately it cannot. 81 points of damage. All right, switch. For your first attack, you swing downwards. You stab downwards with your lance, and you hit him for a pretty sizable chunk of damage. Right before you swing, the Cloud Giant kind of turns his head over towards you and looks at you, and he just goes, "Wait, I can give back all of that. I can give back all of those things I stole and get right out of your hair."
You didn't listen to me when I warned you to leave.
And then he explodes for 81 points of damage. He is bleeding profusely. For your second attack?
Okay.
Also, keep in mind, you actually, and I made a mistake, so it's too late now, but you actually should have disadvantage on this attack, because you're attacking from 10 feet away, and prone is anything other than 5 feet away is at disadvantage.
I
So you might want to...
that it was ranged attacks have disadvantage.
It's if the attacker is within 5 feet, you have advantage. Otherwise, the attack has disadvantage. I believe is the official rule.
Okay.
But I messed up on the last one, so.
No, he rolled so high anyway.
Yeah. Well, it would have been it would have been actually the disadvantage. So it would have been the 17, which still would have hit, but it wouldn't have been the crit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, I'll leave my lance in its eye then, and I'll draw my.
Fair enough. It's not like you're not a walking. It's not like you're not a walking arsenal already. All right, go ahead and make an attack with advantage.
My knife, my sword.
Yeah, you know,
my
dealer's
lay
choice.
of
Dealer's
mono, my
choice.
Alright, well, you've already pierced him. Let's bludgeon him.
Go ahead and roll damage on that as well.
1 off a crit.
Not even close.
And smite.
Yep.
Third level smite is 3d8.
That is correct. Wait, third level smite is 48.
No, second level smite.
Oh, okay. 28 more points of damage. All right. Nice round. Anything else on your turn?
Pete, I'm sorry that I did triple digit damage in my.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's fine.
For my movement, I'll.
He's still looking good. He's a giant. He's got a lot of health.
I'll do a lap.
Yeah, we can still banish him.
All right, and that I think brings us around to a turn on top of the initiative where someone can still banish him if they so desire.
I was trying to banish this giant.
All right.
To beat the cloud.
Start off with a go ahead and start me off with an spellcasting ability check, which you control, and then you tell it to banish him, which he 14.
He actually fails.
All right, this is the final round of the thing. So at the beginning of the next turn, at the beginning of your next turn, he will reappear, but he vanishes.
You banished him when he was groveling. Why?
That can't hurt.
What?
He'll still be groveling.
Yeah, he'll still be prone. He'll return in the same spot. It doesn't make the popping noise, so he is from this particular plane. But as you banish him, you still have your action left. Is there something you want to like get yourself ready for the next round, or?
Well, you know what? Let's see. I am going to actually ready a spell.
All right, you ready a spell to cast, presumably at the giant when they return?
Yes.
The CC train. It has no brakes. That's going to bring us next into Sword. It is your turn. The giant disappears, but you know at the start of Ideal's next turn, they will reappear in the exact same space where they were. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna go ahead and call out my spirit.
All right, you just making spirit guardians right on the spot where the guy's gonna come back, I assume. All right, your spirit guardians stretch out around you. These are just presumably symbols of the ninja camel spider moose, I imagine. Yeah.
Just seraphs.
Okay, seraphs, small seraphs. In that case, that is going to. Oh, sorry. Do you have anything else on your turn? You still have a bonus action, or?
I don't think I can summon two
yeah, I guess.
weapons. No.
Yeah, I guess you're good. In that case, that's going to bring us next to Fawkes. You're on the ground. You know that this individual will be back soon.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell Florva to ready a grapple, and I'm going to press a button on the MP3 and start playing theme music. Get a inspiration die.
Okay, naturally.
Bonus action, and as my action, I will ready a spell.
All right. You ready a spell. Yep, you ready a spell, and you do these other things. Jesus. Switch. What do you want to do?
I'm going to hold action attack so that I can smite 3 times next.
All right, you're gonna hold your ready and attack.
Bonus action.
Bonus action, divine favor.
All right, you ready your divine favor and ready to attack, which means at the start of your turn, a whole bunch of things happen. Ideal. Go ahead and everyone do credit thing. So roll Spirit Guardians damage. You can go ahead and get a fresh roll in the next. No, I was gonna let him just roll it fresh. All right, so Spirit Guardians, Ideal, what's your spell?
Light.
Light?
Blight.
Oh, Blight. I think it said the light, like the light cantrip, and I was like, fair. All right. What's the save on that Constitution save? He's pretty good at those. We'll see.
It's 16.
Okay. That he saves. I assume he takes half damage.
Yeah.
All right. So there's
he'll take half damage on that Spirit Guardians too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he hasn't made the Wisdom save. I don't think yet, has he? Yeah. No, he hasn't made the Wisdom save. 15.
16 needs.
Okay. Yeah. So he takes full on that. He takes the half damage on the Blight. Barker, what's your spell?
You skip me, man.
Scumbag. He succeeds. He succeeds on that command.
I commanded him to drop empty all this stuff.
Yeah, you just kind of yell, "Drop it!" Right as he comes back.
He's too busy being fucked up.
Yeah, but he's too busy getting destroyed by everything else. And Switch, go ahead and swing away. This is an advantage because he's prone. I assume it's a baseball bat still. 20 hits. Roll damage. 13. So that's going to be 19 blight damage, 11, so it's 30. Then another 13, so 43 in that round. And an additional 10 points on top of that, for a grand total of 53 damage in this reaction pile.
You skipped me too, man.
Hold on, you didn't.
Oh wait, I thought you had already
I only did the Spirit Guardians damage. I didn't do anything else.
Oh, these were all readied actions that were as reactions.
Okay.
So it hasn't even gotten to your turn yet. This thing is getting the living snot beaten out of it. All right, so it's one. Fear not, sword.
Yeah, you forgot the default.
Oh yes, my mistake. All right. You've hit him for a pretty good chunk of damage at this point. He is definitely bloodied. 100.
That was at the start of his turn.
That's at the start of your turn, Dendary. The turn is yours. What would you like to do?
Well, I don't have any spells left, so I'm gonna.
He's already on the floor.
I'm gonna attack with my longsword.
All right.
My attack weapon. Is he prone or?
Yeah, for sure. He was prone when he left, so he's prone when he's back.
All right. So I have advantage.
Yep.
All right.
Swing away. 13 actually misses, unfortunately. 28 does not. Roll damage on that. 14 points of slashing damage.
And I still have my bonus action, so I'm going to curse him with Hexblade's Curse.
Okay.
Which I should have done beforehand, but oh well.
Yeah, you'll live and learn. He doesn't need the extra damage, I assure you that.
Okay.
Yeah, you stab into him, and he just kind of calls out as you stab him, "You're being so cruel to me!" And that's going to bring us next in initiative to Sword. Sword, what do you want to do?
Well, I gotta join in on the slaughter.
14, that's an advantage, so 16 hits with the square hammer. Oh god! Roll damage.
Hold on.
Oh, what?
It deals 1d8 squared damage. It is outrageous.
Spiritual weapon.
54. 17, roll damage on it. 54 plus 9. Welcome to the party, Sword. That's a 63. All right.
That square hammer is OP.
Yes, it is. All right. This giant is looking like he's been beat within an absolute inch of his life. And it's his turn. It's the giant's turn, and he will take an action. The giant...
Oh, wait. Farva gets to grapple.
Oh, there was already grapple. Go ahead and make a... Go ahead and make a check. All right, yeah. not enough on that one. Not enough on that one. They stand up. He looks at you and he goes, "The four of you are absolute bullies. Just bullies. I'm out of here." And you see him. He is going to. He's going to indeed Misty Step. For sure, that's the first thing he's going to do. But he's going to do a couple things. You see him just vanish and move upwards behind you up onto just presumably a nearby roof. You hear his feet kind of crash, and then you hear him just kind of like receding into the distance as he just kind of calls out, "Goodbye, idiots!" All of the golden stuff is still there, but he seems to be leaving a little bit.
He's not getting away from this.
The fog cloud and the fly spell are both dropped concentration from my damage.
Oh yeah. The fog cloud seems to be the big cloud that's like over the entire town. Mm-hmm. That's beyond just a fog cloud. That's something else. But he didn't seem to be flying. But he did just kind of like disappear into mists and appear somewhere within the big cloud. And now he's just kind of receding into the distance. And he doesn't sound like he's flying. By just the way the sound is going onwards and upwards. Fawkes sakes.
Alright. How far away is he? I can get to
you can't see him because you can't see him again because he's within the cloud. He sounds like he's running away though.
Yeah, I'll go mess him up. I'll go in that direction.
Alright, you begin kind of, are you going to take your wings out, or you already had them out? So you fly upwards towards the direction. Go ahead and make me a perception check to try and find him within the cloud.
Okay.
Oh god, you find him. And you go to the precise point where you see the voice was, and there's nothing there, but the mist does appear to be swirling in kind of an odd way.
Perfect. Can I hit him?
Go ahead and make me an attack roll.
Oh, good.
All right. And as you kind of get up to him, and go to swing with the greatsword, you strike down. It was at disadvantage, but you hit anyway. Go ahead and roll damage.
Shing. Let's do damage.
Are you going to kick a smite onto that?
Yeah.
All right. Give me the totality. Oh. All right, another 28. You see the cloud giant is in its fog form, and he just kind of calls out right as you get to him. He goes, "Good luck finding me now. It'll be like finding a cloud inside of a cloud stack." And then you just kind of hear where the voice is coming from with your incredible perception roll, and then you just look at the fog moving and swing once. It cuts through that little spot of cloud, and he just rematerializes into a cloud giant in the air and crashes down to the ground unconscious.
I'm like, dude, do you know who I am? I cut the heavens. What are the heavens made of?
And as he's falling, he goes, "Clouds!" Crash, roof shattered, townsfolk probably injured, but you have been victorious in beating the cloud giant, Smiling. Congratulations, nicely murked, you guys.
I want to grab my stuff back.
Yep. You get all your junk. Townsfolk. Slowly, the cloud above, as he falls completely unconscious, begins to dissipate, and people begin cheering in the street. And East Town quickly returns to its extremely chaotic state as the townsfolk begin cheering and praising. You see a few lizard folk in the corner decrying the slaughter of their god that had finally appeared before them. And they all start.
I go over to the lizard folk and tell him that cloud giant was not the voice of the cloud.
The lizard folk look at you and go, "That might be heresy. We'll have to speak to the high priest upon this. We are uncertain. We'll get back to you on that."
The high priest.
He's a good guy.
I'm sure if you go to Bartholomew and ask to speak to the high priest, he can summon him for you.
Perhaps. But each of you, as this adventure ends, you have some time to celebrate around the village, do what you will. The cloud giant, I don't know what happens to him, probably sent to interdimensional prison or wherever it is that one goes, or is just executed, or...
Yeah.
Assuming he wakes up.
I mean,
it all depends on what the high priest of the cloud decides.
That he landed next to Switch, he was probably executed.
Yeah, promptly finished.
Or he could just go to the same prison I went to. Good luck getting out of there.
And with that, each of you you've completed this adventure. Congratulations, you've all gained 2 points of experience and 300 Bartholomew bucks. Yeah, that's it. You won. Congratulations.